Welcome to STH's coverage of the World Soccer Tournament. We're down to the final four teams. We have our matchups for number 1, number 2, and the third place game, number 3 and number 4. Who is the best in the world? That will come up this weekend. But how did we get to this moment in time? Let's go backward before we go forward. Here's your highlights of the first semifinal, Argentina and Croatia, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Sports. And yes, someone was on display.
Orsato que habla con los jugadores croatas. Aquí va la orden. Le va a pegar Messi. ¡Messi! ¡Gol! Máximo goleador en la historia de la selección, que en esta Copa del Mundo ha sacado todo el repertorio de cómo definir un penal. Porque se la lleva Julián, la pelota la quiere Molina en el área, aquí viene Argentina, el rebote va a quedar ¡gol! Julián Álvarez y una jugada fantástica, un contragolpe fulminante, mire si no, vaya araña, vaya ya cordobés, vaya corrida, desde el cielo lo podíamos ver y te aplaude Diego Julián, qué golazo hizo Julián Álvarez para el 2-0. Ya está en el área Julián, por aquí o por allá, lo sacó a bailar, entró al área, va Messi, viene gol. Pero qué golazo de Julián Álvarez, qué corrida de Messi, Julián Álvarez y el 3-0, Guardiol lo vio pasar, le vio el número, le vio el hombro, lo vio de espalda, lo vio de frente, lo sacó a bailar aquí en el Lusail.
Argentina advances, and it was a little rough for a while, but then Argentina found some holes, took advantage. Julian Alvarez, Enzo Fernandez, and Lionel Messi doing their work as they have done this entire tournament. Argentina advances. Who would they play? France or Morocco? Here's your answer. Once again, here's your highlights, courtesy of our friends at Telemundo Sports.
Sí, esta es buena, la quiere Giroud, la tiene Griezmann, vino para Mbappé, de zurda le da, se desvía en Giroud, viene el remate, gol, Hernández, gol. Adentro del área para Mbappé, que busca el hueco, gran maniobra, le pega, viene gol. ¡Gol! Francia. ¡Qué jugada hizo Mbappé! ¡Qué definición! Libre en el segundo palo, en la primera que toca en este mundial. Pero vaya este giro. Y vaya el siguiente del 10 Kylian Mbappé. Se desvía, ¿no?
So your final is announced, Argentina and France, and that is going to be on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. But before we get there, Hugo Lloris was asked by ITV Football and Gabriel Clark about the match against Morocco, and here's his honest appraisal of the opposition.
Hugo, another World Cup final. How do you sum up tonight and the way you had to fight, I suppose?
It was a difficult night, to be honest. I think we started perfectly the game. It was the plan to try to score very early, but then we missed few opportunities in the first half, to score the second one and to kill the game. And they stay in the game, and to be honest, they performed very well in the second half. We played too deep, and we conceded too much action in our camp. But we stayed strong during the storm. We scored the second goal, and obviously the feeling was much different. But as we expected, it was a big battle, and we need to give a lot of credit for the Moroccan team, because they showed it's not only a team to defend. They know how to play, they know how to attack, and they have a lot of talented players.
Of course, there's a lot of people talking about there's only one happy ending to this World Cup, and it's Lionel Messi finally winning a World Cup. There's a lot in front of you, of course, in terms of the challenge in a few days' time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big game, a big final against two big nations of football, and obviously Argentina is very, very competitive. They showed their strength during all the competition, all the way. And they have also one special player like Leo Messi, but I think at the moment we need to recover well from this battle and prepare the next step in the best way. It's the last step, the most difficult. We need all our strength, all our energy, and we need to enjoy the moment, because it's already a big success, but the last step is always the most difficult.
Hugo, well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
So looking at your juice boxes for this particular matchup, right now it is the third place game on Saturday, Croatia and Morocco. Croatia is a plus 135. Your draw is a plus 245. Morocco is a plus 211. For the final, Argentina is a plus 179. It has flipped. France was the early favorite. They are now the underdog at a plus 185. Your 90-minute draw is a plus 208. A couple of other things off the field that made some news late in the week leading into the actual final matches of the tournament. Gianni Infantino had his end-of-tournament press conference, and he was getting ready for the 2026 World Cup. Fields being expanded to 48 teams. Initially, it was a thought of having 16 groups of 3. That is now being looked over and thought over. Here's his response from the press conference, courtesy of our friends at Sky Sports.
We have been approving a 48-team format with 16 groups of 3, of which top 2 would move to the knockout phase of 32, and then 16, 8, 4, and 2. I have to say that after this World Cup and the success of the groups of 4, and looking at as well some other competitions like the Euro, for example, where you have 24 teams and the top 2 plus the best third ones go to the next group stage. I mean, here the groups of 4 have been absolutely incredible, in the sense that until the last minute of the last match, you would not know who goes ahead. I think we have to revisit or at least rediscuss the format, whether we go for 16 groups of 3 or 12 groups of 4. This is something that will certainly be on the agenda in the next meetings.
Also, something else that has happened is the Club World Cup, which is currently 7 teams, and it will be held this year in Morocco from February 1st to the 11th, and it will have the 7 teams that include the Seattle Sounders as a part of it. Gianni Infantino wants to expand it from 7 to 32. But as of right now, not everyone has been told about this idea. Here was the Premier League response to the Gianni Infantino press conference and the idea about the 32-team Club World Cup, courtesy of our friends at Sky Sports News.
More breaking stories this Friday afternoon here on Sky Sports News. And, of course, we've been hearing from Gianni Infantino in his closing World Cup news conference 2 days out from the final, in which he has announced that FIFA are due to be expanding the Club World Cup from a current 7 teams to 32 teams, and that would take place from 2025 onwards. And we've now had a response from the Premier League to what Gianni Infantino said a bit earlier in Doha today. And they say, we're told the Premier League has not seen any formal proposals from FIFA about the expanded Club World Cup in 2025 or an expanded 2026 Men's World Cup. We know it's due to make a 48-team tournament. The Premier League are open to continuing engagement with FIFA via the World Leagues Forum to ensure there are no radical changes to the international calendar that will affect the domestic league structure and player welfare. Of course, if you have a 32-team Club World Cup, there will be, of course, plenty more matches. They are expecting meaningful agreements to be reached with the leagues before anything is signed off. So that is from the Premier League.
And then Kabi Salkahal, who has been in the host nation this entire time, he was asked about the Club World Cup possibly expanding from 7 to 32, and here is his honest appraisal.
Well, it will definitely lead to a row with UEFA. FIFA have already been rowing with UEFA and some of the biggest clubs in Europe about these plans. How does he justify it? Very, very easy. Money. FIFA want to make more and more money. And what FIFA would say is, we don't want to just make money for the sake of it to make ourselves richer. We want to make everybody in the whole football world richer. Because what Gianni Infantino will tell you is, okay, I may have been a controversial FIFA president, but since I assumed the role, all the federations around the world, 211 federations, football associations, he will say the money they get from FIFA has gone up 7-fold. They get 7 times as much money as they used to before Gianni Infantino came along. And he wants to keep growing that pot. Now, the one big revenue source that FIFA have is the World Cup. But the problem is the World Cup only comes along once every 4 years. Now compare that to UEFA. UEFA have the European Championship every 4 years, but they have the Champions League every single season. That is why UEFA are much, much richer than FIFA. Gianni Infantino, of course, used to work at UEFA. He knows all about UEFA's finances and how they make money. And his dream has been to make FIFA as rich as UEFA and to redistribute that money across the football world.
So that is your look at the final 2 matches of the World Soccer Competition to determine who is the best in 2022. Once again, 10 o'clock Saturday morning, local time, East Coast. 10 o'clock Sunday morning in the East Coast as well, to determine who is the best in the world for 2022. Thanks for hanging out with us for this particular look back at the World Soccer Review. We'll have one more when both the matches are completed early next week. So for everybody here at SDH, for Jarrett, for Jason, for Nick, I'm just John. Played safe. Everybody enjoy the final 2 matches of the tournament to determine who is the world's best in 2022.